Hi everyone, I'm Sean O'Kane for Chip Estimate TV, where we bring you the most up-to-date information in IP and semiconductor design in the EDA industry. Joining me today is our world traveler, Mr. John Bleiler, right here. He's the president and CEO of IP Systems and IoT Systems, and John joins us on a regular basis to share his travelogue of experiences. Right now I can see that you're in your stomping grounds, Mount Hood up there in Oregon, and are you a skier, a snowboarder, or just a lodge dweller?
Yes, well, at different parts of the day, I'm all three.
Oh, okay. So let me just jump right in there. I just got back from ARM TechCon, where IoT and sensors was again a hot topic of conversation around the area of transportation. So tell me something cool that you've seen in the past few months.
Well, transportation, of course, the first thing that comes to mind is automotive. A couple months back, I was at the Renaissance DevCon down in LA, and there they had the connected car, which they've been working on for quite a while, and they had several versions of it. In one of the older versions, it was actually controlled with a joystick and whatnot, so I got to control the steering and driving for it was a stationary car, but nevertheless, it was fun. And then they actually had their connected car. It's more of an autonomous car, so fully equipped with all sorts of radar and sensors. And as a matter of fact, the car is rather self-aware of itself. It can see where it is as it's parking, and of course you can see it as well. I was at some other events, or covered some other events. One was NXP, and they also have a connected car through, I think, the University of Eindhoven and some of the students there. But one of the things that I wrote about was this, for these connected cars to be safe, it's been in the news a lot, they're going to need a lot of security updates, a lot of patches. Well, who do we know that is great at doing patches and updates?
Well, hey, go ahead, say it.
Well, Microsoft, right?
Oh.
And actually, lots of updates, and Microsoft may well become a player in all of this because they are very good at doing updates which will be needed often.
Yes. So that sounds pretty cool. Now tell me what's new in the world of IP and hardware, software systems.
Can I use the word IoT or?
You may use the word and the acronym IoT.
Okay.
Or as Cisco says, Internet of Everything.
Yes, that's true.
And they do two snaps up. But anyway, tell me.
Great. So there's a lot going on in IoT, and where to start? In SOCs, we're familiar with the term platform, and we've been doing platform development, especially with IP, for a long time. Well, that platform now has become not only the chip, but also the board and software and everything else, as we know. And so everyone, especially microprocessor-based companies, have platforms. At the Renaissance event, I mentioned they just introduced a new one they're calling Synergy, hardware and software. What's interesting there is that they actually have qualified software for those, which is qualified to some like the software standards, like I think it's 12207 and things like that. That kind of an interesting twist. Mentor and Synopsys and Cadence. Cadence has the close IP connection with ARM, announced I think last year, and it's evolving even more now into an offering of IoT. And I probably left others off the list here. Imagination, I know, is in there as well with MIPS and whatnot. And ARM
Perfect
recently announced their Design Start, which is something a little bit different.
So ARM Design Start is their new IP online access portal. So talk a little bit more through that about this offering.
Well, so the initial offering, and I probably have the number wrong, but they have like a quick start with their Cortex-0. It's like $40K or something for the licensing part of that, which is very reasonable. But the other thing that's happening, and it's a very timely thing, because the other thing that's kind of happening now, especially with the IoT, is the older nodes, like 180 nanometer and whatnot, those further back on Moore's Law, are now perfect places for things like IoT.
Right.
So it is arguably a time when a startup or a small company could make an SoC of their own back at one of those nodes, at which IoT is very happy. And that's one of the reasons why MIT has referred to this now as hardware is the new software, because you can begin to make these chips at costs that can be reached, and there's other benefits for doing it besides cost.
Right. And so using those commodity nodes at 180 nanometer and so on, so cost effective, they get reused, and the reason why they're cost effective, tell me if I'm right or wrong, is the process getting to smaller nodes is really expensive. Is it not?
It's really expensive, yes.
Yeah.
28 nanometers, I think, is the last node. I think that'll be not expensive. But even back at these higher nodes, those are still becoming even more cost effective, right? At 180 nanometer,
Yep.
wafer costs continue to go down at about 5%. So not necessarily Moore's Law, but it's still got a lot of life to it. It'll have a lot more life.
What else is new? Anything else?
Well, if you'll permit me a little...
A little chest thumping.
Yes,
All right,
a little
sir.
chest something here. I have just completed the 5th edition of a Wiley book on systems engineering management with Dr. Blanchard. And this is a text that has been around for a long time with one of the kind of seminal works by Blanchard and Fabrica years ago. So I'm very pleased about that. And that fits into the systems that we're just seeing in the whole supply chain of the semiconductor world. So
This is good. I like it.
thank you, Jacques.
Hey, I really appreciate you stopping by, and John meets us here once a month or so, depending on his schedule and his travel schedule. But we really appreciate him stopping in, just kind of giving an update on what's new and exciting out there. So, for Mr. John Bleiler, my name is Sean O'Kane, and we'll see you next time on Chip Estimate TV.